that, let's bring in FAA licensed commercial pilot Anthony Roman. Anthony, so much to get to. I want to go to those final seconds into exactly what happened. The plane reportedly going between 93 and 105 miles per hour. One passenger giving his read saying the pilot, quote, hit the brakes so hard as he could, and he knew it was going to be at the cost of his own life. What do you think happened in those final seconds?
Well, LaGuardia is an exceptionally busy airport, especially during the rush hour periods, early in the morning and 4 p.m. to 6, 7 p.m. And as a result of that, it is a very small airport. And as a result of that, for the amount of traffic that's coming in, the air traffic controllers are a tad overwhelmed. While they do have 3 to 5 trainees that they're working with, that provides somewhat of a distraction for the air traffic controllers that are working with them. There is an enormous amount of traffic taxiing, landing, taking off, again in that small area, and as a result, the fire truck that is coming through, that was authorized to come through on an emergency response with another aircraft, that was complaining about an unusual odor in the plane. Now, they were approved to cross that active runway. When the controller realized that he had made a significant error, he had enough time to warn that fire truck to stop. And he explained and shouted to that fire truck many times, stop, stop, stop.
So he did that job. We understand that. But the pilots on the plane, the question I want to get to, did they know this was going to happen? Did they brake like the passenger on the plane said? Did they do anything in those absolute final milliseconds to prevent further loss of life on that plane with their actions?
Without question, they did. And I believe they sacrificed themselves by remaining in a straight line. They could have veered the aircraft to the right or left in an attempt to miss that truck, but that would have created a greater problem and probably more passengers severely injured and or lost. The pilots hit those brakes exceptionally hard, and the passengers then knew something awful could happen.
Two young pilots who, by your definition, will be remembered as heroes. When it comes to the air traffic control audio, we heard the air traffic controller use the phrase, I messed up. He said, I tried to reach out. We were dealing with an emergency earlier. I messed up. And then he was reportedly talking to a Frontier pilot at the time who said that was hard to watch. And then he went on to say, nah, man, you did the best you could. What do you make of that exchange? Is that an admission of guilt on his part, or was this a situation that was out of his control?
I'm afraid he did make a mistake.
What was the mistake?
The mistake is an emergency that is occurring. An aircraft is complaining about unusual odors in the plane. The fire truck was responding, and the air traffic controller is trying to get that across the runway and respond quickly. The right thing to do. For a moment, he lost the idea that an aircraft had just landed or was about to touch down, and then only seconds were separating those two vehicles.
Do you think he was doing the job of two people, or was that one person's job? There's been some suggestion that maybe he was overworked.
He sounded overworked, to be very honest with you, but it's tough to tell without the NTSB investigation. So we'll find out.
To follow up on what Carly's talking about, obviously this air traffic control individual seems to be taking the blame. But to me, one, don't those drivers of that emergency vehicle have an extra obligation, regardless of what people are telling them, to look both ways when they're speeding across a runway, because they're driving a truck that you can maneuver pretty quickly and easily. A plane can't maneuver pretty quickly and easily. And the United pilot that was complaining of this smell, that, I should add, if you listen to all the audio, was complained about by all the pilots in that area. Was he unnecessarily distracting air traffic control for something, quite frankly, that, sewage smell? we don't like the smell, but you can fly and you can deal with it. Thoughts?
Well, we don't know if it was sewage smell or if it was tank leakage or something that could create a bigger problem for the airport and or the aircraft. And yes, you're absolutely right. Those firemen should be looking both ways. The air traffic controller had plenty of time to stop them, shouted at least a dozen times to stop that vehicle. And yes, those drivers, those firemen were fixated on the emergency, and clearly they did not look left or right.
Yeah. And Delta CEO Ed Bastian had previously said that our air traffic control systems are so antiquated, it actually takes longer to fly certain routes today than it did in the 1950s. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy also compared old equipment to something you'd see out of Apollo 13. So that is currently being updated. But in the meantime, you got to wonder if that also added to this situation, and we do more in the loss of these two hero pilots. Anthony Roman, we thank you so much for your time this morning.
My pleasure.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.